I tried sometimes not to get too caught up in all the excitement and the emotional side of this experience that I've just been through. And I had promised myself that my blog would be to kind of show you what it's like to be there, to be an observer of some of the other things going on that are behind the scenes, the things you don't see. And one of the things that I was very impressed with was the security. I know there's a lot of people who are, and these are people who remember back in the 60s when we had the assassination of JFK, RFK, and Martin Luther King Jr. And so there is a legitimate, I think, concern, but I'm here to tell you that my observations are that the security was very, very tight. In fact, when the buses were driving into Invesco Field, they had to go through a series of checkpoints. The final checkpoint included the buses being stopped, the storage compartments underneath the buses, including the engine compartment, being opened. They had bomb sniffing dogs brought all the way around the bus. Those mirrors that are on the end of the long sticks so that they could look underneath the undercarriage of each vehicle. If it was not if it was not a tour bus, if it was not one of the chartered buses with delegates or other VIP on it, it was not allowed in. It was turned back. There was not just Denver police, but the county police were there. They brought in police from all over the surrounding area, from Boulder and Aurora. They had mounted police. They had policemen on bicycles. They had policemen on foot. They had Homeland Security. They had, I mean, it just went on and on and on. And so I felt very, very secure. The going into Invesco Field was also very interesting because in addition to having to always flash your credentials and to show that you were allowed into a certain part of the field, you also, once you got down to the floor where the delegates and the VIPs were sitting, you had to go past Secret Service. And it was interesting. I kind of in my head called them the men in black because they always were dressed in the dark suits with the glasses and, of course, the earpiece that disappears down the back of their shirt, that kind of thing. And these guys were big. It was like, for me, you know, I'm only 5'4", and so for me it was like standing next to a sequoia tree. And when you go into the floor of Invesco Field, where the delegates were seated, you had to go by them and show them your credentials. And then even to go back out, if you wanted to go use the restroom or get a soda or something, you still had to go by these guys and show them, you know, your credentials. So security was very tight. Made me feel really good because there were a lot of very important people there. There were a lot, not just the celebrities like, you know, Stevie Wonder and Sheryl Crow and will.i.am, you know, the entertainers, and then the political people there from all 50 states. But, you know, there were, you know, some other dignitaries there. So security was really great. But being in this environment was an extremely emotional experience, and that wasn't just for me. I don't tend to be an emotional person. I tend to be very pragmatic and you know, to the point of sometimes even being cynical. So for me to get caught up in the emotion of this was a very new experience. But what it meant to me was that we did have a movement going on where those of us over the last 8 years who have sat back and have been frustrated and angry at what's going on in this country, and especially for those of us who have children, and we're looking at our children and recognizing that under the current administration, our children are not going to have the opportunities that we had when we were growing up, that their ability to be successful beyond us has become limited, and that's why this is so important. I think it is very telling that in Obama's acceptance speech, he made a point of reminding us this is not about him. We do have a tendency to try to make it about him because we are so impressed with his leadership. But we have to recognize that this is our responsibility, that we have to take on the political process. We have to go out there and talk to our neighbors and our friends and our coworkers and the people we go to church or synagogue with, and encourage them to please go vote and to please go vote for Barack Obama, because this country really cannot afford to continue the policies that we have going on right now. And this is indeed what will happen under John McCain. You know, you can go ahead and check it on any other blog you want, on PolitiFact, on factcheck.org. When John McCain talks about what his policies are and what he's going to continue. He makes it very clear that he is going to continue what's going on under the Bush, with the Bush administration policies. So what we have been asked to do, and those of us who are involved in the political process and have been political activists, we heard the message different than probably what everybody else heard on TV and in Invesco Field, the other citizens who showed up. We understood the message. The message is we have to go out into our neighborhoods and we have to talk to people and we have to convince them that if you're not registered to vote, to get registered to vote. If you are registered to vote, to please vote and vote for Barack Obama. We have to vote for the Democratic ticket in order to change things. And this is a responsibility that each of us has, and right now we are less than 67 days away from Election Day, so time is short. But we can do this. This is absolutely a possibility to turn this country around. And so that's the message I walked away with, and that's the message I've taken home, and that's the message that I'm going to get out into my neighborhood. I'm going to call my friends and neighbors, and I'm going to go door to door. And I'm going to do this because it's worth it to me. Again, we only have like 67 more days, 66 more days, and it's worth it to me to give up an hour a day to knock on doors or to make some phone calls, an hour a day for 67 more days, just so that we can turn this country around, and everybody has the power to do that. And so the basic message that I would like to leave you with is that we all have the power to change.